Oh, no, she didn't. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Faith. Thank you so much for being here. Today is a very exciting day because I just got my Norvina palette in the mail and I just played around with it. I did a little tutorial first impressions using this baby right here. And that video that I just filmed is going to be uploaded next, so a few days from now. So if you aren't already, make sure you are subscribed to my channel so that you don't miss it. If you want to see how I did this look using this palette, then you definitely need to be subscribed so that you are updated. But today what I'm going to be doing is comparing this palette, this new palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills, to an oldie but a goodie, the Huda Beauty Desert Dusk palette. I have been seeing a lot of people compare these two palettes, so I definitely wanted to put that to bed and just really see, are they the same or not? Just a little bit of information about this guy right here. This is the Norvina palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills that was just launched like a couple days ago. Well, when you're seeing this, it might have been like 5 days ago, but I will list all of the information about when and where you can pick up this palette. Right now, the only place you can get it is AnastasiaBeverlyHills.com. I also plan to do a video comparing this palette to a bunch of other Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes that I own, so if you'd like to see that, I think I'm definitely going to do it, but if you really want to see it, make sure you let me know, because if you guys don't want to see it, then I won't do it. But yeah, I'm thinking about comparing this palette to some others and seeing if there's any dupes of any of these shades. But the first one I wanted to do was a comparison with the Huda Beauty palette. I asked you guys on Instagram stories if you guys would want to see this, and you guys did. So that is what we're doing here. Here is the Desert Dusk palette, and here is the Norvina palette. So there's definitely some similarities. We will get into all of that. I will do some swatch comparisons, talk a little bit about, I can't talk, I'm so excited. Talk a little bit about the formula and how those are different, and yeah, all the good stuff. But yeah guys, let's just get right on into it. Let's first just talk about cost. So the Norvina palette, like all of the other Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadow palettes, costs $42, and the Huda Beauty Desert Dusk palette costs $65. Now there are more shades in this palette. There are 18 shades in this palette where there are only 12 shades in the Norvina palette. Half of the shades in the Norvina palette are shimmers, so it's basically the same. Both of these are half mattes and half shimmers. Let me just talk a little bit about my opinion on the formula of both of these, and then we'll get into some swatch comparisons. With the Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes, as you guys may or may not know, there tends to be a lot of kick up and fallout. You may remember the scandal with the Subculture palette. I did do a video on that. I kind of was a little bit different from most people because I just expect there to be a lot of fallout and kick up from Anastasia Beverly Hills shadows, and my Subculture palette wasn't that much more than my Modern Renaissance or anything like that, so it didn't shock me. This one as well, if you watch the tutorial that will be coming later this week, does have a lot of kick up, so I just wanted to point that out. In the Huda Beauty palette, there is not as much of that, but there definitely is some. I'm not sure if that's going to catch up on camera, but there definitely is some, but not nearly as much kick up and fallout as with the Anastasia Beverly Hills palette. So just keep that in mind. If fallout and kick up is something that bothers you, the Huda Beauty might be a little bit better suited for you. So now let's do some swatch comparisons, because really what we want to see is, if you already have the Huda Beauty Desert Dusk palette, do you really need the new Norvina Anastasia Beverly Hills palette? Are there enough shades in this palette that you can really do the looks that you could do with this palette? That's really the purpose of this video, and to see, you know, how they compare. Are they really like dupes for each other or not? I'm going to go off the Norvina palette and just go in order. So I'm going to start with this shade right here, which is called Dreamer. I'm going to swatch that right here. And then in the Huda Beauty palette, the only shimmer shade that I could see that could potentially be similar to that is Cashmere and Neferetti. So I'm going to swatch both of those right next to it. Another thing I noticed is that the Huda Beauty eyeshadows are a little bit more gritty. Like when you put your finger into them, they just feel a little bit more gritty. That might be some of the shimmer in there, but yeah, I just wanted to point that out. So there are the 3 shades. This is the Norvina light shimmer shade, and then these are 2 light shimmer shades in the Huda Beauty palette. I don't think that those look like each other at all, in my opinion. So I do not think that there is a dupe for this Dreamer shade, and let me tell you guys, this shade is so pretty. Let's move on to the next shade in the palette, which is this one right here. This is called Summer, and this looks like a true gold, beautiful gold shimmer. So I'm gonna put that right there. How gorgeous. And then again, I think the only 2 shades that could somewhat be similar are these 2 shades here. And you can see this is kind of like a duochrome, this Celestial shade. It looks pink, but it actually, is that gonna show up? It does look gold in the right lighting. So I'm gonna take both of these shades and swatch them right underneath. So again, the top one here is the Norvina Gold shade, and then we have the 2 shades from the Huda Beauty Desert Dusk palette. This one right underneath it is called Celestial. That's the one with the duochrome and the pink. I don't really think that that looks anything like it. Now the shade underneath here, which is called Nefertiti, is pretty close. Just so that you can see a little bit better, I'm going to swatch it right next to the Norvina one. So those are the 2 gold shades. Those are pretty similar. I mean, you could definitely use them for the same purpose. So I would say that those 2 shades are definitely similar and kind of dupes. The next shade in the Norvina palette that we want to test out here and see if there's any dupes is this shade right here, which is called Wild Child. And this is a pink shimmer. So there you have it. Then in the Huda Beauty palette, the only light pink shimmer I see is Angelic. And then let's swatch also that duochrome pink and gold Celestial again, because like I said, it does have that pinky sort of reflect. So let's just test those 2 out underneath here. So there is Celestial, and you can see in the light it does turn pink, and then there is Angelic. So those do, all 3 of those kind of look similar to each other. They all have that light pink shimmer quality to them. So now that is 2 shades in a row that are kind of dupeable. The next shade in the Norvina palette is this one right here. It is called Rose Gold, and it looks like a rose gold shimmer. So let's just see here. Oh, that's so gorgeous. So there is Rose Gold. Look at how stunning that is. Now in the Huda Beauty Desert Dusk palette, the shade I want to compare that with is this one right here, which is called Blood Moon. Now this looks more like a copper shimmer to me. So I don't know that it's going to be that similar, but also this pressed glitter I think could be a little bit of a similar shade. So I'm actually going to do both of those. Here is the glitter, and obviously it's different formulation, so it's not going to look the same, but the shades are similar. And then here is that Blood Moon shade that I said was a little bit more coppery. And yeah, you will definitely see that that is more of a orangey copper shade, and this is more of a rose gold, as the name would indicate. So I'm going to go ahead and say there are no dupes for this rose gold shade in the Huda Beauty palette. That is a unique shade that you cannot really dupe in the Huda palette. The next shade that we have in the Norvina palette is this one right here called Celestial, and this is the bright pop of shimmering purple. So this is what this one looks like. I used this shade in the tutorial and it was pretty good, but it wasn't as intense as the other shades, so I just did want to point that out. That's why it's kind of swatching like that. But in the Huda palette, I would say both Twilight and even this Retrograde shade could be potential dupes. This Retrograde one is a duochrome, so you can see there. So depending on how the light is, it might not look the same, but let's try. I think that Twilight shade is going to be more of a match, but let's take a look here. Okay, yeah, so the Twilight shade, it has a little bit of a blue sort of duochrome to it, so it's not an identical match, but it's definitely similar. That other shade I swatched called Retrograde is not close at all. So I would say that the Celestial shade, this is the first one where I'm like, it's kind of like I don't know. They're kind of as a dupe. You could kind of do the same thing, but it's really not the same because the one in the Huda palette is a duochrome. So I'm gonna say, I don't know, you decide. You decide. The next shade in the Norvina palette is this one right here. It is called Dazzling, and it is a nice kind of bronzy shimmer. I don't think I see one. I'm gonna try Cashmere. I think that that might be the closest. So there's Cashmere. Those are pretty similar, but I would not say they're dupes. This one's definitely more cool toned and gray, and this one is more warm and kind of orangey bronzy. So I'm gonna go with no. There are no dupes for this shade, Dazzling. Okay, and I can already tell by just looking at both of these palettes that there is not a dupe. Can you see my little pinky here? There is not a dupe for that deep purple shimmer shade called Drama. There is nothing like that in this palette. I will swatch it for you though, just so that you can see. It is very nice, very deep and pigmented and plummy. Just nice and plummy. The light matte transition shade in the palette is this one here called Base. I don't know how this will show up because again it is kind of light. And then the shade in the Huda palette that would be the closest match is this one right here. It's called Desert Sand. These are definitely different. Desert Sand is definitely more peachy, whereas what's it called, Base is definitely more cool toned. I do love when palettes have shades similar to that though. The undertone at the end of the day really doesn't matter. Those two aren't dupes, but they both could do the same thing. So they're definitely not the same, but they could serve the same purpose and you would really never know on the eye which one you had on. The next shade in the palette is a matte grayish purple called Soul, and this is another shade where right off the bat I can tell you there are no dupes for this. There are no matte kind of gray purples in here. So I will swatch this just so that you can see it. It is the exact color of my nails. Yes, I did get my nails painted to match the Norvina palette. I am that extra. So there is Soul. Really nice. I really like that matte shade. You will see if you subscribe and watch my tutorial that that shade works really well. The next shade in the palette is this matte kind of pukey brown shade, as Jaclyn Hill might say. This is called Incense. So let me swatch this here. I don't think there's gonna be really a dupe for this, but let's take a look here. The closest thing in the Desert Dusk palette would be this shade here, which is called Musk. I think Musk might be a little bit closer to a different shade in the Norvina palette, but we will see. So there is Musk and there is Incense. Pretty similar, but Musk is definitely more cool toned and Incense is definitely more warm toned. Those again are shades that you could probably do the same thing with on the eye and you really wouldn't tell that much, but they're definitely different. Next up is this shade in the palette, which is called Love. This is a matte light pink shade, and this is another shade where right off the bat, looking at the Desert Dusk palette, there is nothing like it. There is no light pink matte shade. So I will swatch this here for you so you can see. So much pigment on this shade. Really nice matte. I really like this as well. The next shade we have is Volatile. So this shade right here, this is more of a cool toned brown. So I think that this shade is going to actually be more dupeable with that Musk shade that we tried earlier. So let me try that and see if these are closer dupes. So no, they're still pretty different. The Volatile shade in the Norvina palette is definitely deeper and actually kind of warm, whereas that Musk shade is still kind of cool, neutral, I'd say. So those are definitely different. Okay, the next shade in the Anastasia Beverly Hills Norvina palette is this shade called Eccentric, and this is a nice orangey brownie shade. Looks like that. The closest thing in this palette that I could see maybe is this orange shade called Blazing, maybe Eden. I mean, I think that that's more peachy, but let's just see. So here is Eden. Yeah, not close at all. And here is Blazing. Again, not close at all. So there's nothing in the Huda palette that matches this Eccentric shade. Then the last shade in the palette is Passion, and this is a deep maroon, I guess I'd call it, maroonish brown shade. So let me swatch this. I think there could be a pretty close dupe, so that's cool. So here is Passion, and I am pretty sure this OUD shade is going to be pretty darn close. So let's take a look here. Yeah, those are, I would say, the closest of everything that we swatched. The Passion shade and then the OUD shade in the palette. So what was that, maybe 3 dupes? It's so crazy because when you look at these next to each other, you definitely think like, oh yeah, those look alike because there's purples and pinks and a couple warm shades, but really, when swatched next together, they're really not similar at all. And the formulas are different, and I don't know, I think they're definitely different palettes. I am glad that I did this exercise though, because I don't think I would have fully realized that without doing the shade swatches next to each other. So let me know in the comments what you guys thought of this video. Did you find it helpful? And also, would you want to see me compare this palette to a few other palettes from Anastasia Beverly Hills? If that is something that you'd be interested in seeing, definitely let me know and I will do that as well. I think I probably will, but it'd be helpful just to know if you guys really would want to see that. So that is a wrap on the Norvina Huda battle. They battled it out. They came out completely different. And yeah, that's it, guys. I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. I love you all so much. Make sure if you haven't already that you're subscribed to my channel so you can check out this tutorial and upcoming videos. And I will see you in my next one. Bye!